It's not clickbait.
This isn't the standard YouTuber burnout apology video, and it's not, oh, woe is me, I'm leaving forever.
I just, if I'm honest with you guys, don't want to do this anymore.
So for the first time in the past 4 years, I'm on my own.
I'm quitting YouTube.
So I've noticed a lot lately that there's been all these videos getting fed to me on the YouTube homepage talking about how these big creators are leaving YouTube as a platform. They're stepping away either completely or they're taking a little bit of a step back, like redefining their relationship with their channel, or they're scaling back quite a bit. If they have had a bigger team, they're scaling it back quite a bit. This video basically is going to just be me talking about what I think is going on here. I guess creator burnout in general, what it feels like to be starting a channel, I guess, at a time where so many people are stepping away from the YouTube. What considerations do you have to make in 2024 and going on from now? If you want to make a YouTube channel, if you want to do this thing here on YouTube. I wrote a few notes here on my phone. I work in the film industry, so I watch a lot of kind of camera related YouTube videos as well. And it's been huge in that space that people are stepping away as well. Maddie stepped away, who's a huge camera YouTuber. He's been talking about it for months that he's going to be leaving, and it seems like he finally has. One that really struck me was Caleb Pike from DSLR Video Shooter. He made a video about how he's not happy making YouTube videos. He revealed that he's been going to therapy and really trying to, like, YouTube's been causing him a tremendous amount of stress by the sounds of it. And another channel that's kind of camera adjacent is minimalist YouTuber Matt Diavella, who, you know, made his name as the director and cinematographer of the minimalism film, and then blew himself up even farther through YouTube. He expanded his team over the last couple of years into, I don't know, like 8 or 10 employees. And he ended up cutting it back just to himself. He's just solo again. And I think that's indicative of the change. A lot of other YouTubers outside of that space, the camera space, just generally big YouTubers, are stepping away from the platform, and they're citing various reasons. There's burnout, of course. There's one that I'm not really seeing cited, but Matt's video kind of does cover it, which is like channel bloat. And then the third thing is just the changing landscape of YouTube. I think YouTube is pushing short form content a lot more to compete with TikTok and things like that. Companies, I guess, are betting on the lack of attention span of people nowadays, and they want short term content to be prioritized. And for people who like making more long form content, they're seeing, I guess, a decrease in viewership, which is harming their livelihood. Probably worse so because their channels have grown so much in scale as well, that they're choosing to take a step back because they're not finding it to be as viable maybe as it once was. So yeah, I guess I just really want to talk about starting a channel in 2024, or like with me, I started late 2023, really posting regularly. It feels like running into a burning building a little bit. It feels like going into a company that's about to shut down kind of thing. And not that YouTube's going to shut down, of course, but there's a lot of changes happening on YouTube, and especially making content like I'm trying to make, which is like, you know, very low key. It's not flashy. It's not overly edited. Is there room for that on a time like this? A time where YouTube is becoming about the snappy next thing, it's short form. Is there room for us? The answer is, I think yes. I am actually not concerned about this too much myself. It actually has emboldened me in my own beliefs, which is that if you want to make it on YouTube now, you have to be lean, which is the way that I think we're going to just have to be generally if we want to make it in this kind of climate change, crazy world that we're going into with the uncertainty of the job market and the uncertainty of mass weather events and things like this. I don't want to get into that right now, but generally I think we need to, the infinite growth that we are seeing, the infinite growth model with capitalism and with just anything in the West is not sustainable. And this is just a microcosm what's happening here on YouTube. So I've written down a few rules here, kind of a few of the things that I'm using and going to be practicing in the videos that I'm putting out on YouTube this year to be an antidote to that. So I don't succumb, hopefully, to the same pressures and the same struggles that these other YouTubers have cited in their reasons of stepping away. So yeah, let's get into it. I will actually say at first, before I get into this, that Caleb Pike from DSLR Video Shooter, he made his video talking about how he's not enjoying making YouTube videos anymore and how he's going to try to he's not stepping away, but he's going to try to rebuild the channel into something that is more fun for him once again. And that guy's just an absolute G. Like, I just want to say I love Caleb Pike. I think the camera space is full of a lot of reviewers and people who kind of have just made their livelihoods through just kind of parroting specs. Caleb is not like that. He is real. He is clearly very honest. He was very vulnerable in that video. And I like him. So I just really want... He listed some reasons as well, what he suggested for, not facing burnout as much, like for kind of doing a more sustainable model for a channel in the future as well. And some of those things will be echoed in my list, but my list is my own. So getting into this, the first thing is actually just about scale right off the bat. This is kind of mentioning something like Matt Diavella mentioned, which was he grew his business because it's kind of what everybody does here in the West, right? It's like growth at all costs. Infinite growth is kind of what's expected here. It's like, for me, I have 1,000 subscribers. I just broke 1,000. So now I want to hit 10,000, or then I want to hit 100,000, then 1,000,000. And then it's like, that's the course of action for people. They're like, I want to go from whatever, 1 to 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000,000. And then what do you do beyond 1,000,000? It seems like you hire 10 guys to work for you. So that's kind of the way it seems to be going with these channels, is they get super bloated, in my opinion. They hire too many people. Like, I think Ali Abdaal was saying that he has or had 4 people writing his videos. And like, I'm not really a fan of Ali's like kind of optimize everything at the expense of, in my opinion, enjoyment of life. But just, YouTube isn't television, right? As much as it kind of has the viewership of television, obviously, it smokes television most likely. YouTube still isn't television because YouTube is people, right? YouTube isn't really a crew kind of thing. It's more like solo creators. And there's definitely room for bigger teams in certain respects, but I think generally going forward, scaling is going to be a problem because, just like we've seen with the West and with climate change and stuff, when we scale and scale and scale human society at all times, we hit something where we start screwing things up, right? And it can't be sustained, this growth. And I think that's the same thing with these channels. It's like they got to 1,000,000 subs and then they hired a bunch of people. And then when there's the ebbs and flows of the YouTube algorithm and some of your videos aren't doing so well and you're not making so much money, then it's not just you who has to take that hit. You're now worried because you have 10 people who are like, making their livelihoods through supporting your work. And if it's not doing well, I'm sure that's extremely stressful. So I don't think that is the way to go forward. I think Matt learned that the hard way and he is now scaled back. And I think that is going to be the best move going forward because, when I subscribed to Matt's channel, I subscribed very early on and he was just doing it on his own then. And that's what you come for, right? Like, if you guys have subscribed to my channel at this point, you aren't coming here to see the Spencer show with like 10 people making the show. Like, you have come because you like my opinion on it and you like the way that I cut the videos and you like what I'm already giving you enough to subscribe, right? And that's the case with these other channels as well. So there's no reason when you have 1,000,000 people who have subscribed to you because they like what you're doing to be like, oh, well, let's get 4 different people writing the ideas for the videos. It's because it's like they've come for you. So why muddle that by putting a bunch of other people to kind of like change your vision and whatever it is, right? I understand that there's like the burnout and stuff like that, and that maybe by having other people helping you with certain processes that can to a degree alleviate it. But I think it also causes a lot of stress, and it's something to consider not doing. I haven't been there. I'm the small channel. I can't talk about this with full experience of what it's like to have 1 million subscribers, right? But I imagine if you were to have burnout and you were a solo creator still and you got to 1 million subscribers, you feel like it's too much having to make videos every 2 times a week or whatever it is, then you can step back. You can afford, if you're a solo creator, to say, yeah, I'm going to put a little bit more time into my videos and release them less frequently, and people are still going to get value out of them, and you're going to get a big viewership. And even if it means a slight drop in income, it's probably fine for you because it's just supporting you. Maybe your family, but like just supporting you as one income. Generally, you should live cheaply as well, regardless of how big you get, right? I think it's a bit of a problem generally when people just become wealthy, when they just start being extremely luxurious and blowing all their money on stuff. So it's like, not to say that these channels are doing that, but I'm saying like if you keep your expenses low, if you don't, succumb to the lifestyle inflation that comes from a higher paycheck or bigger like fan base or whatever it is, then you should be able to sock that money away, and you should be able to weather the storms that come if the channel again goes up and down at different points. So that's the first thing, is I think scaling isn't always a good thing. There's a book I read a couple years back. It's called The Company of One. I think the author's name's Paul Jarvis. And it's basically just all about this. It's about that, why it may be the thing for the business of the future to choose to not expand, to choose to not grow, and see that growth is inevitable or whatever, like that expansion of your company is the move every time, because a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it pollutes the vision of the company, and the company suffers for it. So I think going forward with YouTube, we're going to see more solo creators, and I think that's the way that it should be. So the next thing I want to talk about is, don't make your channel around an unsustainable topic. Or if you do, just be comfortable and okay with the fact that you're going to have to change it up at some point. Don't be afraid to do that. When I first started posting on my channel last year, semi frequently, it was mainly travel content. I'd done a trip back in January of last year where I was kind of drove from here down to the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, a van life gathering in Arizona. And I put like 10 vlogs out about that trip because I was gone for like 3 weeks. And I realized when I was on that trip that this was going to be not a sustainable way to go if I wanted to keep posting on the channel, because I'm like, I don't, first of all, have the income to travel like this. I don't have any family money or anything like that that's going to allow me to travel just forever and make videos about it that aren't profitable. It's going to take a long time to gain an audience to the point that traveling for YouTube could be profitable. And, I like being at home. I like to travel. I like to see new places. I have itchy feet to a degree, but I also like being home. I also like nesting. I like to talk to you guys from my couch. I like to just read and be cozy, and I don't always want to be on the go. When I'm traveling for work, I love the adventure of it, but I also love to know that I'm coming home in a week. So I don't think it's super sustainable to build your content, to build your channel around travel content or something like that. Something that's like overly adventurous, maybe something that requires you to do something that isn't just part of your normal life. A really good channel that is the opposite of this is Sean James from My Self-Reliance. So his channel is just about him getting back to nature. He's a guy who lost his big company he had in the 2008 crash, and he was in a tremendous amount of debt. And then when he bought some land in like the late 2010s and started building this cabin. He started building it with hand tools. He completely cut the trees down and built a log cabin. And his entire channel is just him documenting building more stuff on these properties that he has, and just kind of becoming more self-reliant. And the best part about his channel is that his content kind of is endless, because as long as he's living his life, which is interesting in itself, he can just continue to make videos. He wasn't affected by COVID because it wasn't like he didn't have any trips he could go on anymore and he was stuck at home, because home was where his content was. I guess it's the same thing if you make kind of like commentary type videos like I'm making, in the sense that you can really just sit here and just say what you think about certain things. And as long as you have an opinion, which I mean, I have an endless well of opinions, then you can kind of just draw for that as much as you need to. And that's kind of a good way to go, I think. So I would say it's totally cool if you want to post on your channel about traveling and doing stuff like that. But I just think you need to be ready to pivot at certain times, and to not be just so attached to that type of content that it becomes unsustainable for you. And because I think that's where the burnout's going to come from, is feeling forced to constantly be going on to the next trip in order to secure your livelihood on YouTube. I'm just trying to share my life on here. That's kind of the vibe. I originally called the channel Spencer's Adventures because I was on this trip and I wanted it to be about my traveling. And you know, there's a lot of adventures of the mind on here right now. Adventures maybe delving into technology and reducing my consumption of it, and frugality and whatever it is. There's a lot of metaphorical adventures, but it's no longer just about traveling around and seeing new places, etc. And I think that's a good thing. I think that it's important to just be yourself, not really try to copy any other content, not try to follow any sort of trends. Put out stuff that you would watch, that you would enjoy to see, and don't really worry about what other people are doing. Don't really worry about what you think will do well. Just put out something that you think is interesting, and the rest will fall into place if it's meant to be. The next thing I think that you should consider if you're making a YouTube channel in 2024, if you're thinking about getting into this kind of thing, is to probably keep a job. Don't just go all in and throw everything else that you've worked for away for YouTube, because YouTube seems like it's pretty volatile. Like, you can have huge years or huge months or huge weeks on YouTube, and then you can have really crappy ones. So I would say, especially if you don't have a problem with your job, if you're not like dying to leave your job, at least kind of keep your foot in the door. No matter how successful you get, I think you should always kind of have that as a backup plan. Don't burn any bridges. So if things do get, you know, a little bit slower, that you're able to kind of step back into that if you'd want, just to kind of pad that income a bit, take a little bit of the stress out of it. You know, I work in the film industry and I like what I do. Sometimes I think that the hours are too much. Like, we work a lot of like 12 to 16-hour days, and, you know, we don't have a 5-day week usually. It's usually, sometimes it can be a 10-day week. So yeah, like, there's elements of that that I don't like, that I know are unsustainable in themselves. So if YouTube ever became something where, you know, I could go full time with it, I probably would still continue to do what I'm doing, but I would just try to do it a little bit less. I would do it to a healthy degree that allowed me to do this and enjoy this, and then also do that and enjoy that. You know, if you're in a job that, you know, don't have the same level of flexibility, it's like a 9 to 5 kind of thing. I mean, I would just say don't burn your bridges there. So if ever you wanted to go back to something like that, even if it was at a different company but a similar type of job, that you still have a good reference, because you just never know what's going to happen. You know, I know that today I like making these videos, but I don't know what I'm going to think in 5 years. Maybe I'm going to love it. Maybe I'm going to still be doing it, or maybe I'll be doing something completely differently. And I just don't want to, you know, extinguish any possibilities. Let's say it that way. I just want to reiterate as well, just be yourself, you know? That's the thing that's going to be the easiest to do. If you're going to try to copy somebody, it's going to feel like work eventually. If you're doing this not because your heart is truly in it, but because you're just trying to chase after some sort of thing that you see being successful online, you're not going to like it eventually. Like, that's not something that you're going to be excited about. I would say it's important generally to just try to be true to yourself. Make something that you would watch don't really take in too many outside inputs, at least consciously. You know, like it's fine to like YouTubers and let that influence kind of subconsciously how you think about making YouTube, or, you know, what kind of videos you want to make, etc. But I would say trying to copy somebody else's formula, like it works for them, maybe, but it's probably not going to work for you to do it exactly the same. So just do what feels good for you, do what comes naturally, and it should work out from there. Okay, and the last one is the most germane to my situation, which is, this was brought up by a few of the creators who were leaving the platform, is that they were finding that YouTube is prioritizing short form content, and that there's also a lot of like AI kind of like bot channels that are basically just like, you know, you can kind of find them. It's just some random like listicle type video where there's just like a weird like computer voice that's like sounds like pretty realistic but still too monotone to be a human, and they're just like filling the platform up. There's just so many of these videos of these random kind of like computer voices, and I guess they're just content farms to a degree, but I don't know, like I think YouTube probably should crack down on them because it is polluting the platform, but so far I'm not aware of them really doing a lot about it. And they're also been just really pushing short form content because TikTok, as it's still so huge, and YouTube wants to get a piece of that short form pie, so they are making their shorts, you know, very important. And, you know, I don't really want to make shorts. I don't even know how I could cut a video like this down to 1 minute. I'm not going to try. And a lot of people feel the same. And if you make longer form content, it's sometimes not getting the same push as it used to. And that's frustrating for a lot of people. And especially, as I said, if your channel is, as I said, a bit bloated, and it has a lot of people that are living off of your channel, then these fluctuations, if you're not getting big pushes with your videos, if they're kind of flopping, that can be pretty hard. So I guess like the best way to secure yourself from that, like especially with these AI videos kind of slotting into some of our niches and, you know, making certain types of content, I think especially review content, harder to get traction, is to just be like vehemently anti that. This is something that I'm not overly worried about with my channel because I'm trying to be as real and as unpolished as possible. I'm not really into reviewing stuff, and I don't really think I ever will be. And I just think that with AI, you know, they're taking writers' jobs. The writers have fought back, but they're clawing at people's jobs. But the last thing to go, in my opinion, is going to be true documentary content. People are still going to want to see other people just living, and truthful content like that, just real stuff. There's going to be a desire for non-artificial content. And I feel like if you align yourself against AI, that's the last thing that AI is probably going to be making, is anti-AI content. But I mean, it definitely could be something that they do. They got to cover everything, right? So eventually AI will be making anti-AI content as well. But if you're a bit anti-tech and you're kind of pushing back against all of this attention span stuff, I don't want to believe that people's attention spans are shortening as much as people say they are. I'm not going to take YouTube and TikTok's side in hedging my bets that short form is the way to go. Because, you know, as evidenced by some of these videos that I've had doing pretty well, there is a desire out there for people wanting physical media, for people watching a video that isn't super flashy with like no music on it even. There's nothing super flashy about what's going on here, right? I'm just sitting on my couch, but if you're watching this video, you're part of the resistance, right? You're the hope that I have that YouTube is going to be just fine. Because as many people go into the Wall-E world of just like being all sedentary with their screen in front of their eyes and just go through life without having to lift a finger, I know there's people out there who want a real experience. And as long as those people are out there, then I'm not worried about YouTube. I'm not worried about my videos on YouTube because I think I'm going to make stuff that I would watch, and I know there's a lot of people like me out there. The number one thing, though, is to stay lean. I think that's really important. you need to stay lean in all respects. And that means like lean with your ideas, don't be overly polished. Don't make your videos bloated. You need to stay lean with your team, stay small. People come to watch your videos because you're you, and you don't need 10 other people to help you be you. And stay lean with your cost of living so you can be just less impacted by any ups and downs which may come from the journey on YouTube. That's the way that I'm trying to live. I have this winter that I've been home, been just selling tons of stuff. I've just been trying to just lean down as much as possible, like with my possessions as well as just with my cost of living. So, I can make a jump if I want to. I can take a risk if I want to and not need to worry as much about the outcome. You can stop worrying to a degree. You can take a deep breath and just let life come as it will, but you can also prepare by doing the best that you can to not let those worries come to fruition. And I know that I'm doing everything I can so I can succeed on this platform. So that's about all I have to say today, guys. I think it's interesting that all these channels are stepping away. And I think that that is also giving room for a new type of creator. I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments section if you have anything to say on this topic, if you agree with me or if you disagree with me. I'll engage with you regardless because I get a lot out of hearing from you guys. So thanks very much for watching, folks. I hope you found this interesting, and I will see you in the next video.